Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Insomnia Fix podcast. I am very thankful today that I got a great night's sleep last night because 2 nights ago I had a weird night's sleep where I was up at 4:30 in the morning and didn't really sleep well after that. So that happens every once in a while, and I never let it get to me. It's never a big deal because I know I'm going to sleep fine the next night. So that is what is possible for you too. But I tell you, I will never take sleep for granted again. After going through insomnia for a couple of years, I every morning I sleep well. I wake up feeling so appreciative and really enjoying the feeling of being well rested and positive and excited for the day. So I am always appreciating my sleep. And I'm sure for anyone who struggled with insomnia, you are the same way as well. All right. Today, I'm excited to give you some hacks to help you find out your ideal bedtime for better sleep. Because sometimes my clients have kind of lost what they think their ideal bedtime is. And the truth is, all of us have our own circadian rhythm. So, there is such a thing as night owls and early birds, and hummingbirds are actually what the middle of the road is. And that's what most people tend to be. Hummingbirds, are ideal bedtime around 10, wake up around 6, whereas night owls like to stay up a little later. Early birds are really going to do better if they go to sleep a little earlier. And if you try and go against what your circadian rhythm is, it's going to make it a lot harder to sleep and you aren't going to sleep as well. So, society does make it easy for us hummingbirds. That's what I am. I definitely love a 10 o'clock bedtime. If I try to go to bed too much earlier, and I actually made this mistake when I wasn't sleeping well because I was so exhausted, I would try to go to bed at 9, try to go to bed. First it was 9:30, then it was 9:15, then it was 9, and I started having the problem of not being able to fall asleep. And I didn't connect it until later I learned about our circadian rhythm and how sleep works, that I realized that that was a mistake that I had made. And I see this sometimes in some of my clients and some of you in my audience, that you're trying to go to bed early because you're so tired, which seems to make sense, right? But then you either have a hard time falling asleep, or it can actually also cause you to wake up in the middle of the night as well. So finding your ideal bedtime is really important. Again, yeah, if you are a night owl and you try to go to bed at 9 o'clock, it's not going to work. And same if you're more of an early bird or a hummingbird and you go to bed later, then you might find that your sleep is disturbed. I know that happens to me. If I stay up too late, then I kind of get that second wind, like I'm overly tired. And so then it's really hard to fall asleep as well. And so here are some things that I recommend considering to find your ideal bedtime. So, first of all, I want you to think about, what time did you go to bed when you did sleep well? Assuming that you're one of the people who has slept well in their life. I know this isn't true for everyone. I've definitely worked with clients who have struggled to sleep well since childhood. So, this might not apply to you if that's you. But let's say your sleep issues are newer. You've maybe been struggling for a year or two or five or even 10. Like, think back to when you were sleeping well, what time did you go to bed? Now, you don't want to think back to when you were a teenager or in your early 20s, because when we're that age, we are on a different circadian rhythm. So we have this later body clock. We tend to be night owls. This is just biologically what happens to almost every teenager and early adult. And so, don't think back to being a teenager and thinking you want to stay up till midnight because that worked for you then. So I'm talking once you're in your mid 20s and beyond, when you slept well, what time did you go to bed? And so I realized this for me. I realized that I've always loved a 10 o'clock bedtime. Now, I didn't always do that. I used to work in restaurants, waitressing. And so there were many times where I was staying up way later than that. But that was when I was young and could adapt, and I didn't have sleep issues or other health issues. And so it was fine. But think about, yes, your ideal. when you slept well. So what time was that? That is a good indicator that that is the time that's going to work best for you. Another thing to think about is when you're on vacation, when do you naturally get tired? And this is assuming you're on a relaxing vacation, like at the beach, not necessarily that you are on a vacation in Las Vegas, staying up late, gambling, and going to shows all night. I don't do that anymore personally, but I know some people still like to do that. So, when you are at the beach on a vacation with your family or, any other kind of relaxing vacation, when are you naturally getting tired? So that's another good indicator. And I want you to think about too, if you started relaxing at 8 at night, what time would you get tired? And I say around 8 because it doesn't count if you are go, go, go until 10 o'clock at night. And then you think, oh, I'm not tired at 10. So I don't go to bed till 11 or 12. So, but if you started winding down at 8, what time would you get tired? Would it be 9? Would it be 10? Or would it be 11? Or would it be 12? And that is a good indicator as well as to what your ideal bedtime is. I think a lot of times people are go, go, go. You put the kids to bed, then you still have to clean the house and do the dishes and, do the other chores around the house, maybe catch up on work. And it's really easy to get that second wind, right? Like maybe you feel a little tired and then work through it and then all of a sudden you're wired. And so you aren't tired anymore. And so then by then you've gotten your second wind, you've gotten to that overtired place, and it is going to be hard to fall asleep. And so you might think that you should be going to bed at midnight, but really you should be going to bed at 10 and you're just missing that window. So if you start relaxing at 8 and maybe do this for a week and know, and this is the same if you're on vacation, know at the beginning of the week if you have sleep debt, which means that you've accumulated this lack of sleep. When we miss sleep, it doesn't just go away. So if you need 8 hours of sleep and you get 6 hours of sleep, the next day you have 2 hours of sleep debt. And if that happens the next night, then you have 4 hours of sleep debt. It doesn't just reset every day. Your body wants to make up for that sleep. If you do that Monday through Friday, by the weekend, you have 10 hours of sleep debt, which is going to be pretty impossible for your body to make up for, but it's going to try. So if you're, when you first go on vacation and you finally have some time to relax, you might be falling asleep at 9 o'clock at night, or you might be sleeping in super late and sleeping more than 8 hours, to catch up. So let's say that you start relaxing at 8 p.m. for a week. Toward the end of that week, what time are you getting tired? Because you might be getting tired earlier at first to make up for that sleep debt. And then as you make up for that, then you're going to get on what the schedule that your body really wants to. So same for vacation. Start looking at toward the end of the week of vacation, what time is your body getting tired? What time are you wanting to go to sleep? That's a good indicator that that is your ideal bedtime. So that is how I suggest figuring this out, is asking yourself these questions and trying to figure out your ideal bedtime. And then the way to, kind of test it is to be consistent with that bedtime for a period of time, at least a couple weeks, a month, especially if you haven't been consistent with your bedtime, or if you have been going to bed too late or too early for your ideal bedtime, then stay at that ideal bedtime for 2 to 4 weeks and let your body adjust and see how it agrees with you. And then if you think that you need to go to bed earlier, a little bit later, then try that. But try it for a week or two. I think so many times we make changes for one night and then say that it does or doesn't work, and our body hasn't been able to adjust yet. And so giving it some time, letting your body adjust, and then assessing is really important. So I'll be curious what you come up with there. But I hope that that helps you figure out what time you should be going to bed, and then I hope that you can stick with that. Our bodies really like consistency and routine, and it kind of keeps our circadian rhythm in check to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. It's going to help your body know when it's time for bed. And if it's 9 o'clock one night and you're staying up till midnight another night and 10 o'clock the next night, or I know what a lot of people do too is they stay up later on the weekends. So that can make it harder than to get back to your normal schedule on Sunday. So having a more consistent bedtime within 30 minutes to an hour at the most is ideal. I'm not saying it has to be to the minute, but that can really help you sleep better and regulate your body clock or circadian rhythm. All right, so definitely let me know if you have any questions about that. Now I want to add that I've realized that insomnia isn't an easy fix. I mean, there is no magic pill. There isn't this magic cure. Yes, you can take a sleeping pill. They work for some people. That's not actually natural sleep. And so, just like we don't expect a garden to grow overnight, we also can't expect our health and sleep to improve overnight. And, my program is all about rebuilding health to be able to sleep normally because I see not sleeping well as a health issue because a healthy body sleeps well. It's what we're meant to do. So if you aren't sleeping normally, then you aren't totally healthy. Even if your doctor says you are, your blood work shows you are, even if you care about your health. I know I've always been interested in nutrition and health, and I still developed insomnia and got a parasite, and my hormones got out of balance and everything. So I know that it's easy to think, "Oh, I'm healthy," but if you can't sleep, you aren't healthy. And it's not your fault. There's just something going on that's hidden that we need to find out what it is. And so it's not going to be an overnight fix. And it's the same with growing a garden, right? Like we don't plant seeds and expect the next day to be seeing beautiful flowers and eating tasty vegetables. We know that it takes time. So having that same expectation for your sleep and your health is really important. And I love this analogy of our health and our sleep like a garden. So I actually worked on a farm for I volunteered for 5 years and then I was an employee for 4 years. And it was an organic, mainly vegetable farm, and it was a CSA, so people had a membership to the farm and I managed the volunteers. So we are the ones who were planting and weeding and harvesting, and so I love digging in the dirt and doing that kind of work, even though I don't do it as much anymore. So I love the analogy of health is like a garden. And so if we think of the 3 things that we need to do to have a garden, we need to till the soil, we need to add fertilizer, and we need to remove weeds. It's similar to what we're doing to our health and our sleep. So when we talk about tilling the soil is preparing the environment that the seeds and plants are going to thrive in. So that's about the foundations of health is how I relate it. So in tilling the soil for our health, we are first of all supporting gut health so that the gut is a healthy environment. We are supporting the basic foundations of stabilizing blood sugar, of eating a healthy diet, of managing stress. All of those things are our body being this environment that is going to be able to be healthy. So that's always the first step. Then the next step is adding fertilizer. So for our health, this looks like maybe adding the missing nutrients that it needs to thrive. And so that's partly where the testing that I do comes in because we can see what your body actually needs. Yes, a lot of people need magnesium. The test will show that for sure. And they'll show the other minerals and cofactors your body needs to absorb the magnesium. So a lot of times we are supporting the body with supplements temporarily. That's kind of adding that fertilizer so that then the seeds are going to have a better chance of growing so that your health is going to recover more quickly and be a lot stronger. So that's where that fertilizer comes in. And I will add on the organic farm I worked for, the fertilizer was compost. It was not synthetic fertilizers. And then the third step is to remove the weeds, right? So once you plant seeds and they start growing, weeds are also going to grow. And so you really want to remove those because they are taking away nutrients from the plants that you want to grow. They're hogging the sunlight. And so they're adding an extra stress to the plants that you actually want. So you want to remove those weeds. It's the same with our health. So if there are pathogens in your gut, we need to remove those. But first, we do need to support gut health first. We need to add things that the gut might need before getting rid of pathogens. So doing this in the right order is really important. You might need to remove the weeds of toxins in your body, of inflammation in your body. And so that is how restoring our health to restore our sleep is just like growing a garden. We're going to create this healthy environment. We're going to add the nutrients it needs to thrive. And then we're going to remove the things that aren't good, that we don't work there, that don't belong there. Awesome. So in my Facebook group, Sleep and Insomnia Help for Adults, which you're welcome to join, I had multiple questions yesterday I had the same question from multiple people, which is pretty much how to fall asleep without drugs. People are talking about how they're taking trazodone or Ambien or benzodiazepines or even just CBD, THC. How do they fall asleep without those things? And again, this isn't an easy fix. And I don't recommend just stopping drugs cold turkey, especially most of them, because your body's going to go through withdrawal of that drug, which can lead to what's called rebound insomnia, where your insomnia gets even worse than before. And then you're just going to get right back on the drug again because you need to sleep. So my approach is to find all the imbalances in your body that are keeping you from sleeping normally, work on restoring your health like we do with the garden, and then slowly tapering off drugs when you're at a point where you don't need them anymore. That's going to be the easiest way to get off drugs. Yes, it is a long-term plan. It's not an overnight thing, but that's a supportive way to be able to sleep naturally without drugs long-term. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Martha at thecompletesleepsolution.com. I'd love to answer your question on the podcast. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to make your insomnia the best thing that's ever happened to you. Sounds pretty crazy, right? But it is possible. All right, everyone, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week.